Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is a game with alternate endings where you decide which character's viewpoint you resonate with the most, and you unlock a special cutscene for that decision. This video will contain spoilers for the end of the game, so please come back to the video after beating the game, because we're going to be dissecting both characters' viewpoints and examine them philosophically. Towards the end of the video, I will also tell you my opinion on who I believe is more correct, starting with Myel. Myel is a 16-year-old expeditioner who was orphaned at the age of 3 from the Gamage. She never felt like Lumiere was her home and always felt like an outsider. She had few true connections with Gustav and his sister, and they were technically family and later formed strong connections with Lune, Ciel, and her pseudo-brother Verso. Her journey is marked by struggling between embracing the comforting lie of the canvas and confronting the painful realities of her past and future if she were to leave the canvas. After regaining her memories, she grappled with the trauma of losing her brother due to a fire that she caused and her own physical scars. Myel post-fire has lost a brother, has an incredibly hard time speaking, and is scarred from the flames in the most visible of areas. Her desire to preserve the canvas was due to multiple factors, the first being so that she could preserve the memory of her deceased brother that originally painted the canvas, and by staying inside the canvas it forced her father Renoir to not be able to destroy it, and the second being at the end of her journey, defeating the paintress and regaining her memories, she, for the first time in her life, felt like she had agency over her own life and felt a true sense of belonging in the world. It is my interpretation that the world inside the canvas is similar to the world outside the canvas. To Myel, it feels as though she is trading one reality for another. However, in a false sense of reality, she finds inner peace and meaning that she could never find from her life outside the canvas, especially because one of the key components of healing and overcoming something traumatic is rebuilding your identity. This plays into a term called existentialism. I apologize if I'm saying his name wrong, but Jean-Paul Sartre, the philosopher, his notion is that existence precedes essence, suggesting that individuals define their own meaning and purpose. Myel chooses to define her reality within the canvas. She is creating her purpose within the canvas, which is her life's essence. Myel is continuously finding purpose in an illusion, which in a sense sculpts reality more than actual reality. A quote from the game is, "If the canvas is where I finally feel whole, then who are you to say it's not real?" This quote is very similar to those who meditate and achieve enlightenment. If what you need to feel complete is to detach from the world and live inside of your own head, then what would you even need others' perception of reality for to begin with? We are constantly told that we need to be ourselves, and that will make us the happiest versions of ourselves. And it's the same philosophy that is contradicting in Expedition 33. Myel is herself inside the canvas. Pablo Picasso has a famous quote where he says, "Art is a lie that makes us realize the truth." And Myel has discovered the truth in her life and is willing to cut her life short and die for that truth. Let's compare this to Verso's ending. Verso is a character within a character. He was created by his Audi, like a Severance kind of vibe, and he lives in a world created also by real Verso, retaining some, if not all, of real Verso's memories. This made him realize that his entire life inside the canvas is a lie and would rather not live in it at all. Fake Verso doesn't believe that a life inside an illusion has any real value, which starkly contrasts to how Myel feels. His path is one of sacrifice, awakening, and moral responsibility, rooted in belief that truth comes from struggle and not escape. Since Myel is technically Verso's little sister, he believes that destroying the canvas is the only way to give his sister a real chance of living a great, real life. Destroying the canvas would end Verso's life, but it would preserve his sister's. This relates heavily to philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca. Stoicism is understanding that suffering is unavoidable, and what matters is how we respond to the pain and suffering. A key principle of Stoicism is living in the present. Stoics encourage accepting what they cannot change rather than dwelling on the past and worrying about the future. Myel worries that the second she leaves the canvas, she's going to be living a miserable shell of a life. But Verso says that this is unavoidable, so why not just deal with it and come out a stronger person? A quote from the game is, "You can't become whole by hiding from the world. You become whole by facing it." Verso also has core principles of Buddhism to his belief in regards to suffering and liberation. Some ideas of Buddhism include ideas like all life involves suffering caused by attachment and delusion, and liberation comes from awakening to the truth, not clinging to illusion. Like a practitioner, he emphasizes awareness, detachment, and a moral duty over self-indulgence. There's also a really cool topic I want to bring up that relates to existentialism that contrasts from Myel's viewpoint. There is a philosopher named Albert Camus, who is the writer of one of my favorite books, The Stranger. He writes in The Myth of Sisyphus that the absurd is the conflict between our desire for meaning and the universe's silence. And what this means is that humans are obsessed with finding purpose and living a meaningful life. We believe the culmination of our actions create a grand painting of our lives. With this idea in mind, we create the illusion that everything in our life matters because it is supposed to. But the silent universe is just allowing us to exist and create a false narrative in it. It's entirely possible that every action we do is completely separate from the next, and we lie to ourselves to find meaning in our own version of the universe. The reason I bring this up is because this is precisely what Myel is doing inside this painted world. Myel is looking for reasons of her own existence inside of an illusionary world, and will never make sense of it because there is never sense to be made. So before I tell you what I believe is right, I want to hear your thoughts below in the comments, and also I'm going to briefly summarize the two characters. Myel is attempting to paint her own reality by living somewhere that makes her feel whole. The place she wants to spend her life is technically not real, but it feels more real to her than anything ever has. Verso wants Myel to accept the fact that her real brother is gone and leave the canvas where she will have to face struggles and hardships, but will collectively live a much more fulfilling life by doing so. The person I most agree with is Myel. I'm just as surprised as you guys because I actually consider myself a stoic as well, but I chose her ending originally, and even after going back and doing deep research on this topic, I still believe that's the right call. I'm not saying Verso is wrong by any means, because part of what makes the story amazing is that both of these characters have valid points. But I think for a lot of us, we find meaning in things that others find no meaning in. I found meaning in Expedition 33, a video game. I was enamored with a fake world and living vicariously through fake characters. And even though this is a game, I found myself more connected to this world than the world I'm living in right now. I personally feel alone at times. I feel sad. I feel lost. If I could trade 90 years of living like that for 30 years of bliss inside of a fake reality, I would gladly take that trade-off. That's actually a concept I first discovered after reading Catch-22, so if you guys want a video examining that, then please let me know in the comments below. But yeah, man, I really resonated with Myel on a deeply personal level, and I believe that if I were in her shoes, I would do the exact same thing. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and be sure to, like this video so other people can see it, and subscribe to the channel. As I'm making this video, I have 27 subscribers, and it would go a long way to know that the videos that I love to make, the videos I'm passionate about, are being appreciated by more people. So thank you. Peace.